Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video is a part of my little scrapbook store. They're doing a weekend cropped and it's really for August the 1st, but for those of us who couldn't do lives, we're doing videos for YouTube for the crop weekend. So I decided let's play with some of the Distress Oxides. I have sprays and we're going to be doing some ink blending. So we're going to go ahead and start with the sprays. So I have my little splat box, and with the splat box it's great because it helps calm down all the splatters going all over the place, and most of the time I forget to use it, especially when I'm doing my cards and my scrapbook pages, but I do have it on instances where I do remember to get it. So I'm trying to shake up, I think that was like picked raspberry, but for whatever reason it was like the mixture wasn't really wasn't coming together, like it had sat for too long, but it eventually it does mix up. Right here I just splattered and hit for a large section of blue in that one spot, and I want to say that one is the peacock feathers, and I'm just using the Tim Holtz heat tool to dry it. One of the things I like about the Distress Oxides is as you dry it, and you put other colors on top, you don't tend to have a whole lot of weird color mixing. Depending on how you put it onto the project, you can add the other colors on top and it's just giving you layers. Now with this particular card, I'm just going to do the two colors, and then I'm going to grab, I want to say it's black soot in the Distress Oxides, and that will be the third sort of like accent color. Whenever I do splatters, whether it's on my cards or projects, I tend to use three colors. I don't know why. It's just something about it. I like to use a color that sort of like ties into the project itself, and then I usually use white and black. Now since this particular card is white, I'm just going to use the black, but there are instances where I'll use gold as one of the three colors. So it's just, stuff like that. So that black, I'm just testing out the ovals that I have that we're going to be ink blending on. I'm making sure that I got color and areas that'll, you'll be able to see it from behind those. And we're just drying it off, moving some of the stuff around. And then I'm showing you the white Distress spray. This one is just the regular Distress spray. It's in the white picket fence, and I am going to use that on some of the black cards. So once I move that over, I'm going to grab, I'm using Bristol paper. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Bristol. If you haven't, Bristol smooth paper is really great for blending of the oxides. I think it's, if you ever have experience with lines and like marks and you can't seem to get that out of your paper, get some Bristol and start practicing your blending on that. It really does help because of the texture and the smoothness of the paper. It'll help with the blending between colors. So I'm decided that I wanted to use the Bristol paper for the splatters and some of the smooshing technique that we're going to be doing here soon. So this one is mimicking the first one we did. So I did Wilted Violet, and then we're going to grab, I believe this is Candied Apple. And we're going to hit that up. And at first I was like, ooh, it's very red. It looks like someone's bleeding in the upper quarter of the cardstock. But when it dries back, you'll see it almost looks like the Distress Oxides are bleaching out the paper, but with color. It's hard to explain, but that's what it kind of looks like. Once it starts to dry, it almost looks like we took bleach, put colors into it, like dyes, and then put it on the paper. It has a bleaching technique. I think it's because of the chalkiness of it. which is what oxides do, especially when they get wet. And the sprays, I don't know what mixture they're using, but to me, they have a very chalky look to them, just spraying. So there I'm hitting with just the white. And the white picket fence, you got to be careful because it's more like the original, the dye ink. So it will pick up some of the pigment color, depending on where it falls on the oxides. But I think all in all, even on the final project, which I have right here in front of me, it still stayed pretty white. There was only a few droplets that actually had some of the red, which turned it a little bit pink, but for the most part, the white stands out on its own. Okay, so now for this one. Bear with me for a moment because I'm actually looking around trying to find some plastic. Okay, so I have these sleeves that I use for my stencils, and I have tons, so I'm just going to grab one and we're going to use it for the smushing. And what I do is I spray directly onto it, a little bit of water, and then we turn it over and kind of use it to smush the color around. Now this one, which is the tattered, I think it's tattered rose. I already put them up, but this one, it was super light, so I knew I was gonna have to probably hit it again, and I think I wind up not only hitting it again but using some of the picked raspberry just to give it a few darker areas and a brighter pink, but you'll see that as we go. And I'm just once again using the heat tool. If there's any time where something's not drying fast enough, then I may grab like a paper towel and just dab it. Now this one is the blueprint. Yeah, blueprint sketch. And when I put that down and I realized how like dark and vibrant that blue was, I knew I was going to have to do another layer of pink, which isn't a problem. I'm just going to dry it up and then grab the plastic, and I'm going to grab the darker pink and start putting some of it down. And you can still see some of the lighter pink even after all the other like smushing, and you saw I sprayed directly onto the actual paper to get some of that pink to move, and I like how that's looking, so we're going to go ahead and dry it using the same tool. And I'm gonna tell you, that little tool, I remember watching videos and people talking about how it wasn't that hot, and I'm like, I don't know what tool they were using, but to me it gets as hot as the other embossing tools. It's just it's got a wider mouth, so the hot air goes over a larger area, whereas the regular more typical heat tools, it feels very focused because the opening is smaller. But for what we were doing here, this one really was perfect. Okay, so this one, I want to say is was it cracked pistachio? It was either that or, because I thought I had matching, I thought I had matched up all my colors, but I can't remember at the moment what color that was. But I know this one is abandoned coral. That I do know. And what I liked about this one, what I decided to do with this particular smushing technique is once we get this dried up, I'm going to take the blue-green and put splatters over top of the abandoned coral section, and then I'm going to splatter the abandoned coral over top of the greenish blue section. And we're just going to spray some more of that abandoned coral. Excuse me. I said Carol. God. Once you know it, there's always got to be a word that you say wrong, right? Okay. So we're going to dry this up. See how it's turning that milky kind of, that chalky consistency? That comes from adding water to it. And you can create the same thing even without having the sprays. If you just smush the ink pads onto plastic and use the water, you can get the same technique. And you can see there, I just splattered the abandoned coral, and then I'm going to grab it and do some more up top. And I even splattered myself. And then we're going to dry it again. And I was going to do 2 more panels, and I was like, no, I think doing the 4 is enough. So once this one gets dried up, you're going to see I'll wind up moving the splat box, and the last 2 pieces of Bristol paper I have, I'm going to set aside. Yeah. So once I get everything moved, sorry, moving my lamp so that way we don't have that glare on the glass mat, I'm going to pull out on the white base papers. I'm going to use a black matte with the white on top that we're going to color blend on, and then I'm going to do the reverse on the black Bristol paper. And what I'm going to do is use the smaller black ovals, and we're going to color those in. Okay. And I thought I had my, oh, there it is. The dies that I use to cut this out, the extras, I always keep with them. So that way, if I want or need one, I already have some that are cut out. And I usually tend to cut out a bunch at once. So that way I always have a few on hand. Okay, so I tried to pull out Distress inks, obviously to match the ones that we're using or have used on our project. So what we're going to do is zoom in, and I'm going to start with, I believe, this white one first. Yes, and we're going to do the 2 pinks, and I'm going to use the Speckled Egg. That's the newest Distress ink color, and I did get it from my little scrapbook store. I believe it's still on the website, so if you guys need it for your collection, make sure you go over there to their webpage and get it, because it's definitely, it's an interesting color. It really is. To me, it's that gray tones with the blue. It's like aged, but it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's really great. It's one of those colors, like I like to use my grays and for transition colors. So like how I'm going from the pink into the Speckled Egg, and then the peacock's feather is going to be on the top edge. And I just like how that color gives it that little bit of transition. And you'll see even on the final projects, like that Speckled Egg, the blue is in there, but you get really the gray tone of it too, which is really nice. And I'm just using my brushes from Tailored Expressions, and I want to say, I think Michelle had those too, where you had the set with the storage caddy, like the little spinning thing for the brushes. So definitely take a look at those too. I enjoy them. I love the fact that there's one for like every color in the color wheel. So like you got your dark blues, your light blues, your orange and yellows, you got your green, and then they even give you a gold and a I guess it would be silver, but I'm using it for my gray tones. But if I wanted to use like a metallic ink, like the I'm trying to think, the Memento Luxe has like a gold, you know, that you could potentially use a blending brush on. Like that would be perfect. I already have a brush ready to go for it. Now this trick here, I have seen other people use it online, so I will not take credit for it. But if you have some of the purple tape, just tear off a section enough that you can put it underneath your fingers, so that way as you're holding down your paper, you won't get fingerprints on your project. And sorry if I'm a little bit out of frame. I keep trying to remind myself to look up because I had zoomed in, so I wanted to make sure I was definitely staying inside. And where that really sharp edge was, I turned my egg around and just lightly brushed, and it took that sharp edge away. That's what I was showing you. All right, so we're done with those 3. So on that one, it was the abandoned coral with the peacock feathers. And on this one, I have the purple with the candied apple. All right, and then I have the blueprint with the picked raspberry, I believe. So we're just gonna hit up the pink raspberry, and my idea was like all the blues, the purple. I think I have the purple, yeah, are up at the top, and then the pink reds were at the bottom, and then you'll see towards as we keep going, I'm gonna wind up stamping on each of these. And 2 sets we're gonna do white heat embossing, and then 2 we're just going to do Versaclear ink. You'll see that coming up. All right, so we're going to continue on doing our blending, and I like using the glass mat. There's a lot of different products you can use. I even have the Make Art Station. I have the waffle flower silicone mat. Sometimes for me, I just color where it's easiest, and the benefit of having the glass mat is that you can do so many of these mixed medias right on the glass mat, and it cleans up so easily. So you can see during this whole process, as I'm coloring, I just grab a baby wipe it up, grab a paper towel, dry it off, and keep it moving, and it's working wonderfully. You know what I mean? If you wanted any of those, the Make Art Station is fun. I definitely followed Amy R, and I got more magnets, so that does help, especially with stencil work. And then if you like the waffle flower media mat, that is nice where it's silicone, so the paper doesn't slip and slide all around. That was one of the issues I was having on here too, because the glass mat is nice and slippery. So it does tend to want to move around and stuff like that. And when you're trying to record, it can make for a very interesting project. All right. And all you do is you blend, go to the second color, blend it, and you just keep going backwards and forth until you get it to the blend that you like, where there's not a harsh line and, you know, it's all blended looking nice. That's all you need. All right, so I'm going to treat each of these ovals. Now I put down my anti-static powder, and I'm using the big brush from Nuvo, which I got from Michelle. Okay, no judgment here, right? No judgment zone. So I'm taking a stamp that's been in my stash since when I first started stamping almost 10 years ago. Oh my god. And it's one of my go-tos. It's a simple, it almost looks like a flower, like a weed, but I love it. It's so super thin. I love the fact that I can layer it. I stamp it like 1 or 2 times, and it's perfect. So I'm just clearing off a little bit of the powder that was sticking in other places. That's what that little brush I brought out is for. And then we're going to pour the embossing powder back in, and I'm going to cover it up. Now I'm going to heat this up. Here's the thing. If you don't want to burn your fingers and it's a smaller project, I have in my arsenal, which probably a lot of people do, is those reverse tweezers. They work really great at holding it and you being able to heat it up and not burn yourself. Okay, I'm gonna use it again for the second piece, and voila, those are done. So I'm going to move them to the side. We'll clean off the powder later. What's funny is I set them on top of my cap, and that's what I was looking for. And then I'm going to use the Nuvo brush for what it was designed for, which was to clean off my area of extra embossing. So on this one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab another one of the flowers that's on the stamp set, and this is rubber, red rubber stamps, and I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna use both stamps. This is what I'm thinking. So I stamped that one, and I like that. That was perfect. But then I went and did this, and as soon as I did it, I didn't like it. So yeah, I'm not liking that. So before I fix this, let's stamp on this one. So I decided off the bat, I'm just going to use that same one I used on the first two. Stamp it up high, and then stamp, and then stamp off. So the third one is a little bit lighter than the other two. I'm okay with that. I like how that looks better. So it's white paper, so the best thing is we can just create another background. So I grab my 3 brushes, and I'm adding my pink. I'm going to add the speckled egg, and then we're going to add in our top color, which I want to say is the blue sketch print, blueprint sketch. Lord, these names. Get a little bit more ink on there and ink it up. So even though I had a little mishap, thankfully, because there's always another side to the paper, we were able to redeem this, save it, and continue on with the process. So I'm going to put all the inks back. Now we're going to ink up our image here, and then stamp 3 times, just like the other one. And then stamp off 1. And there you go. All right. So now we're going to start really getting everything built up. And I'm just showing you there I used the Versamark and the Versaclear Nocturnal ink. So we cut our cardstock to be 5.5 by 8.5. And then we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And I like to score with my pink one and then really crease it with my Teflon bone folder, and that'll give it a nice crisp edge and keep it closed for the most part, because that's my whole thing. Like, I hate when they start to reopen. I know some people tape them, temporarily together, the cards, so that way they can stamp and do other stuff, but I just try and crease it really, really well. Okay, so we're going to tape up our card stock, and I'm looking around my desk trying to find my art glitter glue, which I'm so excited. Michelle has the toppers for pre-order, so you guys definitely get on that train. I can't wait, because I'm hoping that little dauber that's going to go up in the top there, it'll be so much easier to find my art glitter glue. So definitely check those out, okay? So we're just going to ink up each of these, and then I always, if you've never seen any of my videos, I always use my art glitter glue with whichever tape I'm using, whether it be the Tombow, whether it be the ATG tape, and I do that because it's going to allow me time to be able to move items, like move the paper around, or pull it back up if I need to, if I put it on crooked. So that's my goal. That's why I do it. All right. Once we get that down, we're going to, and it really does help, because I cut all these papers initially to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I knew I wasn't going to need a mat. It was going to be perfect, right? On top of our card base. It was just going to lay really nice. And I'm just wiping up, because some of the Distress ink, the sprays, are still, I guess it's still kind of wet, because they're leaving marks on the mat, which is fine. Now that they're dry, I'm not having any issues, so we should be good. It's just, while making the video, I was a little impatient, and yeah, this is what happens. So, on here, I already had some sentiments picked out, and I knew that the white was going to have the bigger circles. So that's why I was using colors on the background that was going to match the background that the image was going to go on top of. So 2 pieces of foam tape. I'm going to center that, and then I'm going to cut this one down and put some on the back of the sentiment, trimming that down, and then we're going to tape the backing off. And then I try not to press it down right away. I hold it up, make sure I see if I got it lined up and straight, and if I did, then I press. Because if you leave it just kind of placed there, you can pull it back up if you don't have it straight, and you can fix it. If you press down too hard, then yeah, you're out of luck. And you can see that mistake is going right up against our little matte image. No one's gonna know that it took me 2 tries. And it looks good. So on this one, I'm using the foam tape as well. Really, I think I use the foam tape on all 4 cards because, you know, sometimes it's just nice to have that added dimension. It's not a whole lot. It's not like it's going to make it difficult to mail. And I say, why not? And actually, you could probably even take this further. You could use sequins. You could put some gemstones. You know, you can decorate these in a lot of different ways. For me, I wanted the Distress ink and the backgrounds to be the standout, so that's why I'm just focusing putting the images together. Here I'm wiping off the powder so that way the coloring comes out more. And there you go. That's the one we're going to use for that. And the same thing with this one. Just wipe it down real quick with a paper towel. And we're going to get it taped up. All right. And this one almost looks like a galaxy. I think if I had had a few more colors on top of it with the white, it almost does look like the galaxy backgrounds, which you can use the Distress inks to do that. Just to let y'all know, to create those backgrounds. I might have to do that on a project. All right, so we're putting down some more foam tape. All right. And I like to use my picker tool here to take off the backing. It helps a lot. Like for me, I have acrylic on my nails, so like sometimes it's hard to peel those backings off. But using the pokey tool, that definitely helps grab it and makes it easier for me to peel that red tape off. All right, so last little bit. Trim it down, boop and boop. And then, you know what's funny? I have trash bins that I specifically bought for when I do stuff like this, and I don't even know where I put them. I'm constantly throwing them off to the right when I'm making videos. I'll just give you guys a little bit of background. But I do that a lot. So when you see my hand going to the right, I'm just throwing it to the right just to get it off screen so you don't see my pile of mess. All right. And there's our final projects. I think they came out really great. And we had a fun little mixed media. You can do light with the splatters and just leave it simple. You can go far out and do more of the smushing technique. It's still using the same medium and getting, you know, different results, but they're still great, really. And make sure you check out Speckled Egg on my little scrapbook store. If she still has them available, it was really reasonable. I just bought the ink, the pad itself, but there's other products too. I want to say there's a spray, there's all kinds of stuff. So thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you guys participate in the scrapbook, the challenge for the crop, the online crop. It's always a lot of fun, and they have a lot of great ideas, and you can always check out all the lives. So even if you miss a live, go back, watch it, and really enjoy yourselves. This is a great little crafty community here. So Thank you guys. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button, and leave a comment down below. I would love to read your comments, and I try to respond to everybody. And definitely go over and check out Michelle's website, mylittlescrapbookstore.com. Check it out. She's her private owned, and let's support the small businesses. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.